So what's kind of your mindset or motto for your team as you head into your first Pac-12 road trip this year?
Well, it's really no different than our non-conference road games, and that's why we always try to play a couple of true road games in our non-conference. Our trip across country to Yukon, and then kind of like the trip across country to Alabama. You learn a lot from those two experiences, win or lose. And obviously, a long time ago, when we went to Maui, although that wasn't a true road game, it simulates a lot of things that you do when you get into conference play. So you rely a lot on those experiences, how we prepared, how we traveled, how we practice on a day that we travel, trying to make it as familiar with for our players as possible. But in the Pac-12, you leave, you play 2 games, you prepare for 2 games. It's a little bit different, and we try to take it one day, one game at a time. When that game is over, we move on. But it's certainly not easy on the road, and I think our guys understand the challenges that lie ahead this week.
You talked about this team being better defensively than it was last year. Is it more of a want or a determination? And what's the word for this group compared to maybe years past?
Well, I'm only talking about last year. If you kind of throw out last year, we had a lot of very, very good defensive teams in a row there. Last year it was some of it was personnel, very difficult to play 2 7-footers at the same time on defense, and yet on offense those guys really had a lot of answers. So anyway, last year's last year. What I'll tell you about this year's team is that I think we have a lot of togetherness, a lot of guys trying very hard, giving their all. We always have breakdowns and things we try to make better and fix. And when we've tried to do that, we've usually gotten some results, and that usually happens through practice and film. We weren't nearly as good defensively as we needed to be against Utah. A lot of that is Utah's an excellent offensive team, but because of how good they are, they really challenge everything that we do, and we had way too many breakdowns. Sometimes it was scouting and concentration, details, things that are just do this when they do that, and we missed it. There are times when just ability. There are certain positions where we don't have the gift of size, and teams are trying to take advantage of that. But we'll learn a lot from our film. We did not practice yesterday, so we have a couple days to kind of learn from our past weekend and at the same time prepare for Stanford. But one thing we did against Utah, which helped us win, is we defensive rebounded and didn't give them a lot of opportunities when they missed. And thank goodness, that's the one area that we really checked out in.
Do you expect Justin back fully in practice for these couple days, or how do you handle him?
He'll practice full today.
So you're pretty optimistic he'll be back to normal for Wednesday then?
Yeah, I mean, we'll take it one day at a time. He played in the last game, so, I think, like I had mentioned, he played without a lot of repetitions, and every day that goes by he gets healthier and I think becomes more of himself. But I credit Justin for giving us all that he had. You look around the country, certain guys that sit out different games and then they bounce back. The fact he didn't sit out this weekend is a real testament to his leadership, how tough he is, and how much he cares about winning.
How would you evaluate Ryan's performance to this point? It's a sense that confidence is more to it than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Ryan, he has to be more confident. We certainly are counting on him. I believe that he can become a better player than he's shown. As you can see by his second half effort against Utah, he gives us something offensively that this team really needs. Not only the ability to shoot the ball, but shoot it from the front court, which is different. And those back-to-back made three-point shots and a big offensive rebound in which he made a free throw, those are all really keys to helping us win. And, my hope is that the more he's out there, the more confident and comfortable and sure of himself he'll be. Sometimes I don't think it's confidence as much as he doesn't always look comfortable. And you just have to take into consideration he hasn't been here very long.
You've talked over the years about guys as starters versus coming off the bench and different mentalities. I mean, I'm guessing the part of the reason he went to the bench is you feel like he's maybe pretty good in that area, able to adjust. I mean, he was basically the leading rebounder and scorer last year at Pitt, and he comes here, starts, and now he's off the bench. Seems like the same guy, at least, you know, to us anyway.
What are you asking?
You know, about his mentality. I mean, is that partly why you have him in that role, where you figure mentality-wise it's not going to bother him?
You know, starting, not starting, I know it means a lot to our players, but Ryan is a really big part of our team, whether he starts or he doesn't. You know, we want him to play quality minutes, and, you know, bringing him off the bench gives us a different look because he's a skilled player who's not in the game at the beginning. Sometimes bringing in skill allows that second group to be a little bit more fluid on offense.
What about just his three-point shooting? I mean, that's an area you guys have struggled this year. How does that open up the offense and help the offense?
What's your question?
How does, when Luther's shooting the ball well, how does that help the offense?
Helps it a lot. You know, it's as evidenced by what he did in the second half against Utah. Those back-to-back threes that he made really changed the momentum of the game. And, you know, looking at him every day in practice and being around him since, you know, early this summer, if he's not our team's best shooter, he's certainly one of our team's best shooters. So having him on the floor is always a threat, and not only evaluating what he does, but also just having another guy out there who can make a shot. It helps his teammates. Spacing, you know, you have to account for where Ryan is on the court because he has the ability to shoot a high percentage from three.
You're probably too busy worried about your own team, but how do you assess the Pac-12? It's kind of wacky.
Yeah, I'm not even caught up in it. I can barely follow it. Like you had mentioned, we're just moving as much about playing the game that we're getting ready to play, and, you know, really evaluating the two games from this past weekend. You can learn a lot watching your own team against Colorado and Utah, but it's tough sometimes to judge because different coaches, players, teams, you know, hit their stride. Oregon is a great example. I mean, you lose a player with the talent of Bull. It's going to take them some time to reinvent themselves and get back both feet on the ground. You know, he's such a unique player that you have to tailor a lot of things you do as a team to help him both on offense and defense. And now he's not playing. Now you have to go back because now you don't have him. So that's one example. The other example I would give you is Utah, because they didn't play as fast of a tempo in the non-conference as they're playing now. They seem to really be playing a lot of confidence. Offensively, they've developed into a top 30 team in the country on offense statistically. So where they go from here, I mean, you could see where they're going to be a really difficult team to beat, especially in Utah. So conference seasons develop. I'm sure that's happening in other conferences. Injuries, you know, that's a big deal. And who can win those close games? You know, we were fortunate to win a close game this weekend. That could have gone either way, and we'll take it.
You've always said, you know, Reed Travis has been a problem for you guys the last couple of years. Now that he's gone, is there a player on this road trip that's probably a challenge for you guys?
You know, I think Opala, as a freshman a year ago, was one of our conference's overall best freshmen, and he's such a unique player because he's a perimeter player, but he's 6'8". And a year ago, although he could really drive the ball and score, he really didn't shoot the three-point shot. To his credit, you could tell he's put a lot of work in. You know, he's 19 of 41 on the season from three, 46%. So I think you add the three-point shooting to what he could already do. He averages almost 17 points a game. He's a very, very good player at Stanford. And Dejon Davis, I would say the same thing about him. You know, he played a lot of point guard last year, and he's doing the same thing this year. But he's a big, strong, physical guard, and he's picked up right where he's left off. Again, he's their second leading scorer. So, you know, you have those two guys. You know, they have a very talented young freshman, Ryan Cormack, who I guess last night against USC made 5 threes in the second half. So I think he's one of our conference's best freshmen this year. But we're really, again, as much as we're focused on Stanford, and rightfully so, we're also equally consumed with our own team, making sure that the things we set out to do in a game, what we do them.
They've gone sometimes not even starting Sharma or one of the other big guys with it's almost like 4 or 5 guys out. Or have you seen? Is that a different philosophy you're seeing with them, especially without Travis this year?
Well, if they don't start Sharma, they have two skilled front court players. But even if Sharma starts, at some point, that same two guys will be in there. Sharma is more of your traditional big 6'11", 7-foot mobile center. We're very familiar with him. But, De Silva, again, another talented young player, and Dallaire. What's different about those two guys when they're in together is they are very skilled. Similar to a Ryan Luther, they can shoot the ball.
So do you see any differences in the way, especially the front court's playing without Travis and those kind of skills you're talking about with those guys?
Reed Travis, he's no longer here.
Right, I'm just saying in the sense that obviously they went through him a lot, and now they've got several different ways to go with them. I'm wondering if that strikes you a lot differently when you scout them.
No, I think KZ Opala, Dejon Davis, Ryan Cormac Ryan, those guys are very, very good players. They're perimeter, and I would say Stanford this year might be a little bit more perimeter oriented without Reed Travis, stating the very, very obvious.
Can you talk real quick about Devonaire? Yeah, I think you played 12 minutes on Thursday and maybe 6 Saturday. But is it more of a case of what he is not? You're not concerned with what he can do, but what he can't do still.
Devonaire's a freshman finding his way. Love his talent, love his attitude. He gives us an offensive rebounder and a confident playmaker. How much he plays, depends on a lot of different things. But we look at him as being a guy that can contribute and be a part of our rotation. Part of it is he weighs, Devonaire at this point in his life is 173 pounds. Sometimes he could be matched up on a guy 230. So, you do the math, that's 57 pounds that isn't to his advantage. So I think, when he gets bigger and stronger and older, and it's not a 57-pound gap, it's more of about maybe 45, 40, 30, then, I think the sky's the limit. The best basketball for him is in his future. But while he is who he is now, he's certainly valuable and he can help us. We believe in him. I think his future is really, really bright. But just there's time and circumstances that it's not in the cards for to put him in a position to be successful.
Not trying to jinx you or anything, but Stanford is the one team that hasn't beaten you. Is there any constant that you've had? I know they're of course they're different every year. You're different every year, but especially going up there and taking care of them. How was that?
No, we've had some really great games at Stanford, and a couple of the times the ball's bounced our way. Winning close games, isn't always skill. Sometimes it's good fortune. And we've been blessed with a lot of good fortune. A couple of those games could have certainly gone either way. But, for the most part, we've taken some really good teams to Stanford as well. And this year is going to be another really tough battle for us.
Has there been anything in the matchups over the years, too, where you felt that's helped you?
No.
Yeah. Like this year, they seem like they're pretty good at getting the ball inside, getting to the line, maybe with the kind of defense you run. I wonder if that's an advantage, too, that you feel, pretty good about, or, how could that play out?
If they get to the foul line, they do it this year, I think more physical drives, perimeter drives, every bit as much as post-ups. They certainly will get the ball inside, but, when you look at a guy like Opala, 78 free throw attempts in 14 games. A lot of the times he gets fouled or just he has a great ability to drive the ball, and Stanford does an incredible job of isolating him. Dejon Davis, the same thing. He's not a small guard. He starts coming at the basket. A lot of good things happen for them, and in 13 games he shot 51 free throws. So when you look at those two guys going to the game, you add it up, that's 130 free throws in 14 games. You're looking at those two players in particular that really get to the foul line a lot, two perimeter players.
You talked about reinventing for other teams. Are you still reinventing your team, one, and two? Do you kind of still not know who you guys are?
I think we have a good sense of who we are. We're not a very good offensive team, and it's just a matter of us. How much better can we get? What are the things that we can control and improve? And, holding ourselves to that standard, are we able to improve those things? And we're working very hard, not only in our practices, but individually with our players. And I think our continued development on that side of the ball is big. And while we do that, we don't want to lose what we've established on defense. We weren't able to draw any charges against Utah. I thought that hurt us. Being able to draw the charge is something this team's done better maybe than any team we've had here. So we got to keep that up. That's part of our identity. How we protect the rim is by drawing the charge. So that's something we have to get back on track doing against Stanford.
Well, you're up there. Do you figure you might see Alonzo or Lowry, or I don't know if Raleigh's up or down these days, but any of those guys maybe going to drop in while you're in the Bay Area?
I haven't paid attention. Are they playing up there?
Yeah, it's tomorrow night and then Bulls on Friday.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if we could ever do that, that'd be great, but sometimes it's not in the cards based on time that we leave and travel, shoot around games, et cetera.
We've asked you a lot about Alonzo, but I didn't know Lowry came back from that injury. Seems like he's playing really well lately. I don't know if you'd have a chance to catch any of what he's been up to.
Yeah, I mean, Lowry and I guess Aaron and DeAndre, those three players that we've had are all having just outstanding NBA years. One's a rookie, one's in his second year, and then it's hard to believe Aaron Gordon is almost considered a veteran at this point, but those guys are all terrific players. It's great to see them establish who they are at that level, and we're all very proud of them. No different than we're proud of Andre Iguodala and the guys that are at the other stages of their career. I mean, they make us proud.
Anything else, Coach?
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks.